Welcome to the room. Shake that confetti out your hair. Wipe that cake off your face. Have a seat. Acclimate to walls standing like gods, looming long and odious. Appreciate the end of the world and beginning of the self. Your temple is your deity. Appreciate that though you've all the love in the world, it can be lifetimes before it'll reach them, and some it may not reach at all. Appreciate this deal you've made with the room. It's an honesty to simply recognize each other as here, you with your dream of love and the room with its dream of you. The idol is blind and made of stone through the glass doors in the court. Blown over on her back in the garden, the statuette of the Virgin. On a bed of leaves and moth's wings, her hands, though clasped in prayer, snapped off by the frost. And she lays there, cut off at the wrist, her stone eyes open and unable to see the sky. Cholo, proud boy's Siamese, comes into the court through a space in the gate almost half his size, to stand there, weird, to stand there with centuries worth of defiance, to stand there lucky, proud, and cross-eyed, under a moonless sky, in the truncheon black night, the mall black King James and bourbon black night, the roach wing and police boot black night, the black at the back of the roof of your mouth and out your ass black night. It surrounds us. We're awash and adrift in its inky swell and only held and buoyed by the room. In the room, a former Miss New Jersey dreams of her Brill-cream soldier by a transistor radio light. As 7 floors down, the room is calling, but the payphone on the corner only rings. Over a steam grate, the room only inches off him. A veteran braces himself against its cardboard walls, holding down the tarpaulin with one hand and with the other, lights it up, hacks it out, and takes a drag. In the room, a singer, a lover, a magician and invigorator, a mystic cynic and a private investigator, a soldier and a believer, in a word, a poet. 8 of them tonight. From their rooms, 8 poets will share with us their room work. They've put the time in, fed the deep field forge, devoted themselves to the practice of devotion, so we'll see them. It's so dark. So we'll see them and they'll know. As they work like a heartbeat, working so that the rooms that they're in do glow, luminesce. We'll see them as beacons with which to stake our outpost closer. We should bring ourselves as fuel so that we too will burn until, from the furthest reaches, those lost and gone, they too will see us burn right through the dawn. Let's keep pulling through until we're through. Pierce this illusion of our separation and end this dream of pain. We should let go. Every dream to come true must end. We should let go and become less and less until our arms are wide and swinging and our heart the fresh fuel of new love. We should become less and less. Less to say so they'll speak through us, less to harbor so they'll harbor in us. We should become less and less until what we miss is more important than what was promised. All that's guaranteed is what's lost. It will make our love strong. My name is Jim Trainer, and this is my work. Tonight, we'll be sharing selections from Stride, my 8th full-length collection of poetry out now through Yellow Lark Press. And as my good viewer, you are entreated to get yourself a copy at jimtrainer.net. In addition to collections of poetry, you will find letterpressed broadsides of my and Will Stenberg's poetry. These are, as mentioned, letterpressed, black ink on lemon drop yellow paper. And as my good viewer tonight, get yourself a copy of Stride and a broadside at 10% off with the promo code ROOMWORK at jimtrainer.net. If you would like to tip tonight's performers, please do so on Venmo at Jim-Trainer and on PayPal using my email, jamesmichaeltrainer at gmail.com. I'm your pain pal. Enjoy the show. Above all, enjoy the show. Above that, check out the work of tonight's performers at links provided in the comments below their reading. Those comments will live there, as will this performance. It'll live on the Yellow Lark page, so you can circle back for those links if you want to just enjoy the show, which I am wont to do. Thank you for being here. Enjoy the show.
Sequestrant. Every time I left you, I found me. And now I can't leave, and I'm lost. It was perfect poetry. Your hair blown like Patti Smith. Refineries rising behind you, higher than the moon. The charm of youth is never knowing what a fool you are. And wicked middle age only the reservation to never be foolish again. The cold spring makes me think of you, but everything does. There's toms in the high weed, wincing at me with no difference between disgust and disregard. The fire station's lit up brighter than the dusk. I pass these bougie people like a ghost. I make it in, put up my own lights, slide open the glass doors, let the cold in like a welcome pain. I'm glad of the past and underwhelmed on the future. The present, at the desk, breaking to smoke, then let another night collate and unspool my lonely weight. Pry you from me and all love.
Smoking in dusk. So glad to know you and all your peculiar glory. Your disappointments and misses have endeared me to you always. Sure, I'm fond of those years back days on a busy corner, spouting off and knowing everything have to change, but so too these nights, getting on when it looks like ain't shit changed. Laughing till the music stops at an empty diner counter, we live down our triumphs, heralding the shots we've taken with a history between us, and now we stake a different game. I like seeing what I look like when I love someone reflected back at me in your eyes. But love is their word, ain't it? Survival is its own reward.
A romantic nihilist got a lot of space, not indentured as a savior, free the wheel and rationale, out of school and faith. Just a tongue of road and a language full of stars. Empty your pockets and we'll see how far we go tonight. Camp with me here, 'neath this eve. Put me on the burning end of your cigarette. I want to break into your mouth and split open the full fruit of doom. The world is done with our living. Everybody's out at war. We can wait in line to see this clown show or go somewhere and get born. We could be east of here by yesterday. Anything can happen. When you don't believe in anything, everything comes up some way. When you're living the dark and charmed life of a fool.
Saccharine. In this place that was sun-warmed, this place with windows for walls that was mostly light, and old Betty came in with a pursed sense of class and her protege, talking about work in the arts. They order drinks, sit down, and talk too loud at the table next to me. The barista is handsome. He brings me a fresh decaf Americano and biscotti on the house when I'm not looking, and adding simple syrup to my mug and cream. There are these fleeting moments of togetherness I have sometimes at a warm place in the right light. When my weariness is so heavy, it can pull away the veil, and a gesture will turn me like a key. They aren't often, but they're enough. Wistful, breath-like moments when the world doesn't mind either way, and I feel a grace bounding like a starling along a length of battleship chain.
This is for Josh. At dusk, you let go, knowing the dark will only get quicker. Call it before it's all been said, and dreading it might never. With your brother tied up in his own set of traps, getting up to leave the film on the glass, nobody says a thing. You take your isolation as hard brand on streets so strange and familiar. Learn to line your swing side with regret, throw it down and pull it back fast. Keep stepping to get away from what you always carry. Another handshake, like you're practicing pulling away. And you're off into the oily dusk of this hated working man's town.
Poem from My Father by Jim Traynor. I'd been on the phone with my therapist for hours when the sky opened up and the rain came down. It was better than anything he could have said. So I loaded up and drove away from what had been bothering me my whole life. I got down to where the rockabilly plays, in a sawdust place where people say hi to you. I've been here 12 years, and tonight, when the sky opened up and the rain came down, I wasn't bothered by much of anything.
The poem is called Stride. Beleaguered but still with wonder at the feet of a whole world, with my past and still determined to come to mystery, a joy simply being, I walk and pass through the city's cheapness, shedding visions and masks, an attempt to hold pure. I can see it now, the trappings and karma, the reaction and compulsion to strike out and be drawn towards. It must be a love or else I should have crumbled, be even less than I think I am, beneath the ideal but still drawing breath, and from a sordid weight of yesterdays, I rise and take your hand and be led into cruel beauty. With the terrible blessings of my strength, I will, despite the horror and heartbreak, claim today victory.
Hi, I'm Eric, ESP. Thanks for having me, Jim. Read one here of my own. 1 month chip. Little bit manic, anxious. That summer feeling of cold rosé creeping up my spine, trying to infect my brainstem. Thunderstorms and hangovers on the horizon. Swimming pools filled with soda water, citrus spritz, and strong spirit. Cheap blow-up raft from Kmart to try to keep myself afloat. Tequila was last July's muse through most of September. I always switch to beer in the fall, pumpkin, stout, Guinness with rum. Yo ho 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 ho, merry vodka straight and three-finger pours. Happy butt yeast. Does sober January really count if you're just counting down the days until piss in the fridge February comes along? All of those locally grown organic bell peppers, buoyant in the crisper drawer, and me, steadily sinking to the bottom on an installment plan. Yes, it's been many a long winter, but no sense dwelling in the past when we've all this present to unwrap. It's springtime in my heart as I hand-roll a cigarette in the part of my mind that still wishes he were Chocolat era Johnny Depp or some fucking body. Well, hi, my name is Eric, and I'm an alcoholic. Shoves an unmicturated upon carrot stick between his big, dumb, grinning, sober lips.
This is called Bone, Blood, Skin. We're meant to love innovation, the constant digital wave. But give me a letter, handwritten, stamped, and mailed, or an illustration drawn in pen, perfect in its imperfection. I'd like to know your mind translated through ink and lead. Instead, we could try the telephone. In lieu of clipped communication, intent abridged by screen, by schedule, the absence of tone. At least I'd learn your voice. Better yet, I'll take you face to face, to study the upward track of surprise, the fall of disappointment across the corners of your mouth, the edges of your eyes. I think I'd learn to love you, friend. There's a risk, I know. We might change our minds. We might change our minds about each other. But I'd forgo certainty in favor of bone and blood and skin.
This is my poem, Underfunded Zoo. Every entangled stroke of a wooden comb through the right side of my beard pulls to center stage two adjacent white beard hairs, all zigzagged and misled stray polar bears with shared trauma, now fully welcomed in my house of butamus animals. Most mornings, even with wearisomeness and worrisomeness in common, they isolate from each other, leaving patches of bare anxiety, so I try to keep them together, futz around with them with my fingers, hoping they'll humor my optimism that they'll dazzle, but instead, my oily hands overfeed them, a feast of cold grease, so they become lethargic, putz around, not so mysteriously wander off in silent droves while I pace in my office, comically discouraged, staring at the crater under my chin, paranoid about being discovered a charlatan zoo owner, vehemently prepared to emasculate myself before anyone else can, to burn down the whole shebang to stubbly smithereens for the pity and the tax write-off.
Hi, I'm Charlie O'Hay. I want to thank Jim Traynor for inviting me to this virtual release, and I'm going to read one piece of my own. It's called Funhouse. We met in the funhouse. When you bumped into me, you thought I was a mirror. Love, you said, approaches at odd angles. Some of mine shattered on the floor. You became a balloon and handed yourself to me. The sky was no brighter than a clown. On the beach, we drew pictures in the sand of the sand, and later counted the magicians in each other's eyes. Sorry, I said. I never did this standing up before.
Let me read a poem of my own. Is called Rules, from an anthology called Rules. The sun and moon are banned, so too are the stars. This poem must be its own natural phenomenon. Nothing with bright or iridescent wings hovering about, nor brooks that babble one straight into nirvana. There is no nirvana here, and hell is at capacity. No one under the age of 20, please. Also, no puppies or unicorns or anything that conjures an awe. Family members living and dead are asked to exit the poem at this time. We all have heartbeats here, but prefer the phrase miniature explosions of internal electricity. No current lovers or exes or Roman myths. This poem is working very hard at being modern, thank you. Think random Wednesday afternoon in Scranton, New Jersey, about 2:13 p.m. Sirens and yelling and laughing are permitted, but this poem will resist using the words body and flesh, and most especially soul. Instead of beautiful, this poem will make an effort to describe such a thing in more concrete terms. But really what this poem is dying to tell you is how last night, when we sat under a glowing canopy of a million brilliant lights, okay, fine, they were stars, as long as we're breaking the rules. There might have been a heartbeat where I fled to the back of your pupils and never came back.
It's entitled Craft. The whole thing, the whole gamble, is finding the first line, then the next, and the next until it's enough. But keep in mind, never write more than what's needed. Leave it clean. Less is always better. Then find a way out of it, the right line to walk away from it, the one that lets it live there on the page like a motherless child, one that is desperate like a praying sinner, bare like a Nagasadas bathing in that river, sharp like a razor but for only cutting the soul, strong like still swinging in the 12th even though the judge's cards are against you. Then come back the next day, treat it like an enemy, have disdain for it. Understand that it wants to undo you. Find the lines that lie, the lines that betray the rest. Find the words that sit like bloated corpses. Find all that doesn't belong and erase it from reality. Then reread that last line. Stare it in the eye. Walk around it in your head. Size it up. Whisper it through clenched teeth. After that, if it feels like a stranger to you, but still stabs you in the gut, it stays. Do this, even with luck kissing you on the lips and still fail at it. That's when you're earning it, little by little. Tuck it away for later, and do it all again.
The heater clicks and roar rushes into duty. A thin wave of cold sneaks in under the blanket, wraps around my right foot, helps me, signals to me that I can and must get up. You remain tightly bound, warm, sleeping, your little luxury. I walk out of the room. Birds still sing at dawn. No matter the gray, sunless skies. No matter that everything they land upon is cold and wet. There is no end to gathering seed and insect. The heart relies on it. It beats to be fed and must be fed to beat. And so too, I rise and fly. I look from side to side, studying the profiles of other motorists in the light line. Straight ahead they stare, pondering their lives, unaware perhaps of their own pondering. So few of them seem unburdened. But there is one, in the rearview mirror, a young woman with purple hair and a dented silver Mazda, with butterfly sunglasses, screaming at the top of her lungs with an endless smile and a head bop full of freedom.
1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Another form to use, another tongue to say your name. What if you could see there's nothing else to be, there's nothing else